Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the NEXXTCAR Podcast. I know it's been a while, but hey, the holidays are gone and we can get back to our regularly scheduled program, and it all starts right here with the NEXXTCAR Podcast. And as always, we're joined by Peyton Tullock and Matt Tucker. What's going on, fellas?
What up, Ronnie?
Not much. What are you doing wearing that hat, buddy? You did you watch the game last Saturday?
I did watch it was Friday. Get your facts
Friday. Yeah.
Talking shit.
Man, dude, the playoffs are throwing me for a loop. Man, every Friday or every week is on a Saturday, and then the playoffs come. They're like, all right, we're gonna have a Thursday game. We're gonna have a Friday game. Oh, championships on a Monday.
Well, what threw me off was freaking Christmas and New Year's Day in the middle of the week. I think that's what threw everyone off. So yeah, I just try to get back to the normal schedule, But no, I mean, it was a good game up until the fourth quarter, until Stark decided to run pitch plays on first and second and goal. So, and then, Jack Sawyer just, decided to say, here you go, Quinn Ewers, just tackled him and took it to the house. So, oh, well, I mean, Arch Manning tries to start next year. Quinn Ewers into the draft, so that era is over. I mean, he did fine the last 2 years. I mean, guys, both the semifinals. So, Texas hasn't been there in a while. So, I mean, can't complain, but national championships would like to get one. So, we'll see. Always next year.
Hey, you're sounding like a true Cleveland Brown fan right there, buddy. Always next year.
You know what? My teams that I choose to root for, always bite me in the ass. So, it's always the same.
Don't feel bad. You at least you weren't the first Orange UT to lose to Ohio State in the playoffs this season. At least you didn't have to play them on the road, and right after they were pissed off about losing about Michigan. So you got a little bit of a fair shot on that one.
I mean, I really should say screw you, Michigan, because if Michigan,
it is all Michigan's fault. This is all.
It really is. This is not the same team.
They planted the flag, got Ohio State pissed off, and
Yeah, we are not the same team that we were in Week 12. Absolutely not. Michigan lit an absolute fire under Ohio State, and Oregon and Tennessee were the big victims. But I'll be honest, Texas did a hell of a job shutting down Jeremiah Smith, a lot better than I thought you guys would ever do. I mean, you held him to one catch for 3 yards.
We were playing a box and one on. We basically just said, "We're not letting you beat us, dude."
Double and triple coverage every play.
I mean, we were basically doing was just saying, all right, let's get to the reds. Let you get to the red zone, then we'll play defense and take the 3. That's what we were. I mean, we got some pressure on Howard in the second half, which was fine up until the end of the game, but we just couldn't move the ball. And then, Golden was out for most of the game too, so that hurt us. But he tried to go back in, but he obviously wasn't himself. So I don't know what the injury was with him. But, oh, well, what can you say?
Absolutely.
Jaws alive took my victory again.
Real quick, before we move on to the podcast, what are your thoughts on Ewers declaring for the draft today?
Based off what happened with Carson Beck, I think he should have stayed and went somewhere else and got a bag because – I think the report was for Beck. He got $4 million to go to Miami just to be
with his girlfriend and hang out.
yeah. I mean, I don't blame the guy. Yeah, I think he should have probably went to another SEC school or Big Ten school, offered him bag, but I think he'll probably be at least a 3rd round pick. Someone's gonna take him. It's really bad class this year, so we'll see. I mean, he just gotta be in the right situation. I could see maybe New Orleans picking him up in the 3rd round with the QB situation with Derek Carr. So I feel like that'd be a good spot for him, especially when they have a new coach coming into. So he's going to end up someone like there, New Orleans, maybe. I don't know. I could see him going to Tennessee maybe in a later round pick if they don't take a quarterback first. So I don't know what Peyton wants with him being a Titans fan. So. With me being you being the number 1 pick, we're number 2 over here, so we don't know what's going to happen. So I know I already have my map out what I would want, but see how it goes.
I will say for your boy, Tuck, I do believe a team will probably take him in the late 2nd, early 3rd, around that range, hoping that they can get the play out of him that we saw last season. They won't draft him for this season. He definitely fell off. They'll hope that what the tape shows, he can get that back out of him. He'll definitely need to go to the right spot, though. I I don't think it'll be us. I think listen to our office. I think there's a really good chance, unless they have a really good grade on them and can get a steal later in the draft. I think there's a really good chance they kind of just bring in a veteran and kind of roll with Levis and a veteran for a season. And if they really want to get a quarterback, probably wait till next year.
So do you want Hunter then? Do you want Travis Hunter?
I would, in a dream scenario for me, would be to trade down a bit, get ammo for next year. And I would love if, like, who is it? Is it Giants? Giants is pick 3, right?
Yeah, Giants have 3.
Yeah. So I would be absolutely in love if Giants wanted to trade a lot to move up to 1, us move back to 3, and then us take Carter there. I really like Abdul Carter. I think he's got a really high ceiling, and that's the guy I'd like. If we stay, that's who I'd want. I just don't love the risk on Hunter. Like, I know he's a freak athlete, but he's going to have to master a position, and that's too big of a risk to me. Like, you're going to assume you're going to have to pick a position. There's no way he's going to play both in the NFL. Are you really going to risk it to hope that he pans out one? I don't like that. So I think Carter's probably the best overall player in the class. I would take him.
And the dude's a beast off the end. The dude is an absolute monster.
That's why I want him in Cleveland. Just pair him alongside Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
That's cheating. That's cheating.
I don't care. That'd be awesome.
Hey, if it gets Cleveland into the playoffs, it is what it is. Bring in Harbaugh for all I care. If we got to cheat and make the playoffs,
Oh my gosh.
Another dream scenario for my Titans would be if Dion somehow became the head coach of a team like Dallas and just traded the mother load for the first pick to get his son. That'd be awesome. Like, Dallas, send us Micah Parsons CD in next year's first. Like, what a deal. That's a great deal.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, right. Like, you're just...
I'm just saying, what a deal.
Things are never going to happen. This ain't Madden. Where you can just trade.
If Dion comes, you know it's going to be like, I want my son. So what happens to Dak? What happens to everything? We'll see.
Yeah,
I would like to see Cleveland though try to trade up in the first round, take a running back, whether that be ETN or try to get Genty or something.
I don't like ETN though. ETN's got too much baggage. I think. I mean, he just got into that major. Well, he just got into that. I think it was him, or was it his brother that had that incident this year? I think it was him. Yeah. He was the one that had the, what the hell was it?
Trevor Etienne did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was out for a little bit for something.
He was suspended for something. I don't remember what it was. That. Yeah, he's got a lot of issues off the field, man. He would not be good for Cleveland.
And you don't draft a halfback early. There's too many studs that are going to go in the second, third, fourth.
Tell the Giants that in 2018.
Look. Is that when they picked Saquon?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, Saquon's like, it's a rare situation, but look at all the great halfbacks in the league. Like, Derrick Henry was a Heisman winner, and we picked him at 45. 45. So.
We had Nick Chubb in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And we're talking about top 5 players in their position. So, like, I don't.
We also got Trent Richardson number 3 overall, Ronnie.
Yeah, and see how that worked out?
Yeah, didn't work out too well.
Halfback's a spot. There's just too many players that can play the position at a high level.
Then we got Peyton Hillis in round 7, and the dude was a monster.
Peyton Hillis had one good year. And
it didn't matter. He was an absolute monster.
Shout out to Peyton Hillis.
The dude would hurl anybody on that field. I loved watching
Hillis
him
and
play.
Cody Ware would be like going on a fishing trip together.
All right, so moving on. All right, so hey, let's get into the meat and bones of this podcast, and as always, that is the NEXXTCAR Racing League. Man, we just had our 6th race of the season officially in the second half of the regular season, and boys, this season has had everything you could think of. Got it kicked off at Daytona. We had the big blocks. We had the big wrecks. We had trucks flipping. We had a rookie win. 2 weeks ago at Dover to end the halfway through the regular season, we got a dump and run to win the race. And then last race, we had a guy completely lose it out of turn number 4 and finish second, and a guy behind him passed him for the win. This season is the most unpredictable season I think we have ever had in NEXXTCAR.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, not to mention the guy I think who's had the most consistent speed hasn't even won yet. So it's been a wild series. Shout out to Noah Jackson, by the way, it's been talking about. It's been a wild season. And we still have no idea. There's 4 races for the playoffs. We have no idea who really the favorite is right now. We have no idea who's going to make it. Anything could happen because anything has happened every week. Something new happens every week in this series, and I'm sure in the booth, Ronnie and Lanfear are having a great time watching it unfold.
It is, man. This is probably the funnest season I've had in a long time doing the broadcast because it's different people you're talking about week in and week out. It's rookies. It's the veterans of NEXXTCAR. You don't know who's going to be out there leading, and then there's other things that are happening inside the race that gives us a lot to talk about. Richmond, we had Joe Bennett go out there with that huge strategy call towards the end of the stage. Obviously, played out for him, but that was great to watch him and track him through the field, make the progression to get into the stage. Then, like we said, you don't know what's going to happen. We've had a dump and run for the win. We've had a guy lose it for the win. You don't know what's going to happen around every single turn this season, Tuck.
Like we were talking about before, I think this has been the most wide open season and the most competitive season at the same time. Like the top 10 is, I don't think we've had a run when we haven't had cautions. Like we've had green flag runs. Like everyone's still been close. No one's gotten to at least a 2-second lead. I don't think at all, in any of the tracks. So, I mean, that just shows how competitive we all are. And then not to mention, too, we cut the playoff field from 16 to 12. There's going to be some good guys sit home and not make the playoffs this year that might have deserved it in years prior. So, yeah, I just think the next 4 weeks are going to be critical. You got two crown jewels coming up to get double points. So, got guys at the playoff cut line that are going to be looking for those. You got guys at the top of the point standings trying to get more bonus points for the playoffs set up because that's another season basically in itself. Totally flipping the way you advance too. So it's going to be crazy this next 4 weeks. But if it's anything like the way the first 6 weeks have went, then it's just going to be the same. So I think it's safe to say this has been the best season by far for the trucks for us on iRacing though.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it. We've got two different battles going on inside the standings. We got the one at the top of the standings, really between Noah Jackson. Braden Avila's now punched his name into that ticket as well. And Colin Ballinger. And those guys with a big battle right now for your regular season championship, which obviously awards more points going into the playoffs. But then you look down at that cutoff line. That's a heck of a battle right there. You mentioned it, Tuck. A lot of hard hitters are going to be left out of this playoff. I mean, from 12th to 20th is a separation of 30 points, Peyton. That is absolutely wild at this stage of a season to have that many guys still with a shot to not only make the playoffs, but that many hard hitters that aren't going to be in it.
Oh, yeah. It's throwing us for a loop. I mean, think of it like this. We have 30 guys in our point series right now in trucks that have made at least half the races. 30. That is an insane number for us. And with fields like that, it's putting us like veterans of NEXXTCAR. We've had good fields before, but never that quite many. We'll have, over 20 before, but having that extra 10 or so cars on the track really puts a lot of strategy into it because we see it every week. The battle for points, the stage points, track position. There is a whole lot more games being played right now than there were before. And you can see those guys at the cutoff. Yours truly is one of them. I'm the guy sitting on the cutoff right now. So it has been an absolutely wild experience. It's been a very much of a learning curve for both the guys who've been here and the new guys getting used to each other. And yeah, you can tell the intensity is getting up there as we getting closer to the end of the regular season.
Not to mention that last year's champion is currently in 17th in the points too. That was Xfinity last year, but also before that the truck champion. So he's in 17th. So that just shows how competitive it's been.
Yeah, and David has not had the greatest of seasons so far. I mean, he got kicked. He got things kicked off at Daytona. And he got enough airtime to become a commercial pilot. Tyler Isley, big run to the back of the 20. Gets him squirrely. That's going to be a checkup. And around goes David Chandler. Get up and over almost onto his side into one. It seemed like every time we focused on him in a booth broadcast, it was like, oh, there goes David flipping through the air again. So this has been honestly a season to forget for that number one.
He's only got one top 10 the whole season.
And that's wild. That is absolutely wild. But that just goes to show how competitive this season has been, like you guys have both said. And that goes to exactly what Peyton mentioned. We've had 30 plus drivers start over half the races so far this season. We've had 43 drivers log laps this season in the Truck Series. That is absolutely wild that we have had that many returning veterans of NEXXTCAR from all seasons to rookies to drivers that took a couple seasons off from NEXXTCAR and are back in NEXXTCAR. So this season is absolutely one for the record books for NEXXTCAR.
Yeah, because it's so hard to like. It was already hard enough to like win a NEXXTCAR, but it's now hard to like just get a top 5. I mean, like guys that we're used to seeing win races right now, like we talked about, David has won top 10 the whole season. Nicholas Don Francisco is a former regular season truck champion. He has 0 top 10s the whole season. Nicholas Trudeau has 2 top 10s. I have 2 top 10s. We're 6 races in, and these are guys. Alberto has 1. These are guys who've won races, been there, done that, have a bunch of confidence going this season, and have been humbled very quickly. So all these new guys, we have a lot of new faces and a lot of speed, and it's definitely shaking up our playoff standings.
Yeah, and that's someone I want to talk about real quick is Nicholas Trudeau. You know, we saw how things went down at Dover for him. Coming to the checkered flag into turns 3 and 4, the dump and run, finished 18th. Turned it around with a decent run at Phoenix. He fell out of the playoffs after Dover. Now he's up in 11th, just inside the cutoff. Not comfortable at all, so he still has to fight, still has to work for that. But a great job by Nick not letting the adversity from Dover downfall the rest of the season.
Yeah, looking at the points, he's only 27 points behind 5th. Like, you would imagine if he doesn't get wrecked there, he's probably around where plan is, and he feels a lot better about his season. But one move puts him down here in the cutoff, and like we still have 2 crown jewels left. There's a whole lot of points left. Crazy how the domino falls.
Yeah, 18 positions is 18 points, Tuck, and every single point this season matters.
Yeah, and that's a crazy thing to think about it too. Going into Darlington week 10, like if Peyton, Nick, or even Sean too, like right on the cutoff, are you gonna go for stage points? I think you're gonna have to. I mean, and also you got the guys up at the top that are gonna be trying to get more bonus points. I think Darlington's gonna be probably one of the most craziest races I think I've ever seen, just because of all the factors that are going to be laid out to everyone, not just at the cutoff, but also bonus points as well going to the playoffs. So it's going to be crazy. I mean, the one factor you don't have now is the win you're in for the playoffs. So, but just because we took that away doesn't mean there's going to be more drama too. Yeah, it's really just going to come down to whoever's most consistent for 1 and then stays out of trouble number 2. So. Whoever does that the most is going to be your top 12 guys, and you basically are really going to. It's going to be earned. Whoever the top 12 are this year.
Absolutely, and that's something we're seeing more in this season than we've seen any other season is strategy, Peyton. You know I talked to Tuck pre-race. I believe it was at Charlotte, and we talked about how your strategy was going to be for that race. Was it go out there and get stage 1, sacrifice stage 2, go out there for the race win? And drivers are having to decide that basically on the moment. Just like we saw Joseph Bennett at Richmond. He sacrificed a set of tires, came down, but it played out for him to get the stage points, but not so much for the finish. So these drivers are having to make those decisions on the run at the time's moment in the races, Peyton, and that's something that I think is leading to the more aggressive racing that we're seeing this season.
Yeah, and as the guy like sitting on the call right now, I don't really want to like spill my whole strategy going the rest of the season. But Tuck was talking about Darlington and focus on them points. I really think like those games truly start this week. Like we are going in, like we are now over halfway through the season. This is a crown jewel coming up. You know where you're kind of sitting on the standings. If you think you're going to need points like really badly, you're going to have to start playing those games sooner rather than later. Because if you go into Darlington, your situation where you're like struggling to get every point possible, you're going to regret trying to go for wins at Indy or so when you could have tried to get some stage points and maybe sacrifice a chance at the win. So, all those guys around that bubble, I'm sure we're going to get even more just kind of out there strategies. Every point's going to matter. It's so close. It is so close. So It's going to be a stressful few weeks, to say the least.
And not to mention, like Ronnie mentioned, Joseph Bennett's situation. Like, let's say like it comes down to Darlington and he gets in by 5 points. Like that situation at Richmond where he went for the first stage, that's what's going to save him. So I mean, there's certain factors that go into it, but just looking at like moments and like what people did, like it's going to matter this year. So with us going to just straight up points and not wins, it's completely changed the game, and I think it's actually made the racing somewhat more competitive too.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. But someone else I want to talk about is someone that Peyton mentioned to open up this segment, and that is the '08 of Noah Jackson. You see him currently sitting second in the points, 3 points behind your points leader, Colin Ballinger. And the guy has done it with that egg in the win column. The dude has got speed. He had a great shot at Richmond, and then his internet didn't do so hot. Great shot there. He had a great shot at a top 3 finish at Phoenix last week, but a bump in run from Tyler Isley moved him to 4th. So the man's had speed, and to see him currently sitting between two guys that have 2 wins with Avila in 3rd in points, I mean, that just speaks for itself right there with Jackson and what kind of a season he is having in that '08.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his results right now. Like Daytona, he didn't have a great outing, like a lot of people. Daytona happens, he gets 30th. But after that, he goes to Chicagoland, gets 2nd. Richmond, 3rd. Charlotte, 2nd. Dover, 3rd. Phoenix, 4th. He has had 5 straight races of a top 4 finish or better, but no wins. He has been there. He has had speed. It seems like he kind of reminds me of that one season I had where you just couldn't get to victory lane, but had all sorts of speed. Been there, done that before. It's one of those things, though, like with this system, you got to still be happy about it. He's put himself in a really good spot. You can only run where he runs so much without winning. Eventually, he's down to get even back into one at this point. I know it can be frustrating for him, but he's put himself on the map for sure this season, and I'd say he's definitely the favorite right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Noah's not the only rookie in NEXXTCAR to find some success this season, because Tristan Cotton got the season kicked off at Daytona the best way possible, and that is to drive that number 3 to victory lane and his first start in NEXXTCAR and to get his first win in NEXXTCAR. The man had to survive some crazy stuff there at the end, but he got it done nonetheless. And, so huge race for him to get his season started. Currently still sitting inside the top 6 in the standings. So for a while there, he was holding strong inside the top 3. But these last couple races, I know at Dover, he got put down 3 laps at one point, battled back to just finishing 1 lap down. But, this season, it's kind of like Trevor Bayne's rookie season. Started at the highest of highs, then the next week he wrecked out. So Tristan Cotton's season's kind of going the same way. Started out great, but now it's starting to kind of, plateau off a little bit. But that 3 is obviously doing what it needs to be done to get into the playoffs, because sitting inside the top 6 is pretty dang good. But a couple of the other rookies to shout out real quick. Kevin Winker, he's inside the top 10. He's having a strong run in that number 42. Corey Taylor in the 11 having a great run in 9th. And then the other guy we've mentioned several times this podcast, Joseph Bennett, and the 00 inside the top 10 as well. So, great run by a lot of these NEXXTCAR rookies this season.
Yeah, I mean, we have, 6, 7 rookies in the top 10 right now? Like, that's a crazy number. And, backing on what you said about Cotton, like, one thing, people kind of circle those Daytona winners, like, oh, they won Daytona, they're going to fall back. Yes, he hasn't had probably the exact finish that he's hoping for, but he's done a great job getting stage points. He still had a couple of top 10s here and there, and he's holding strong. Like, yes, I will admit these numbers to him are closing in. These guys are starting to shrink a little bit, but he's got a little bit of a gap. He's done his job what he needs to do. You see, continue putting up good finishes, and he'll be in a good spot the rest of the way. Just like a lot of these rookies. It's going to be huge because a lot of these guys, I feel like, especially on this cutoff line, are starting to get go and understand the situation they're in. They're going to start putting pressure on the guys in the top 10. Which of them is going to crack? That's going to be the big thing to watch with the rookies.
Just look at the standings, though. It's kind of like the old versus new. If you just look at 12th below, those are basically all the guys that have been in 12th to 19th, and all the guys that have been in NEXXTCAR, it seems like, with Peyton, Sean, Alberto, Adam, Hassan, Robert, and David, and Don Francesco. So it's like the new guys have kind of like took over kind of their spots though. But one guy I think that's going to be a force to be reckoned with though, that's going to be the last 4 weeks, is going to be Sean. He's missed a couple of races. He hasn't had really good races, but he had that good run at Dover, and then he also had a good run last week until he got wrecked. So it's just consistency with him. If he gets it figured out, I think he'll be one that in the playoffs, when it comes down just winning in advance, he's going to be one that's going to be tough to beat too. Whoever gets in the top 12 in playoffs of those guys too, because if Nick holds on, Peyton holds on. I know Peyton loves super speedways too. So I mean, Atlanta he could win, and I know Nick runs good at tracks to save tires. So that's like Auto Club. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
I mean, you could go through so many guys, and one guy I'm really interested to watch this season because as a competitor out there, he's kind of frustrated me because he's had so much speed but just doesn't put it together, is Robert Babcock. I mean, listen to these numbers real quick. This is his average running position each race. 10.7, 9.7, 4.1, 13.2, 11.0, 10.1. It's a 12-car field. That is a playoff driver on his average running position. Problem is, he's not finishing where he's running. That's why he's sitting here, I think, 17th in points. That guy has had a lot of speed this year. I think he's grown a lot as a driver. I know this is kind of he's had his struggles in this league, but he's been really impressive to me. If you could just put these races together, that's going to be a guy that when we go into Darlington, it's going to be around that cutoff line. You've got to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Robert can sneak his way into these playoffs. Like you mentioned, he's not getting those finishes where he should be. He's starting great, kind of like you have the last couple of weeks, Peyton. Starting great, but not staying up there.
He just has made mistakes though, because he sped last week.
Right.
Charlotte, he sped in the pits when we had that green flag cycle, and then got into the
accident. Yeah.
I mean, he's just made. I mean, he could have better finishes and be higher up in the points if he could just complete races. And I think that's been his struggle, like in just his whole iRacing career too, is just completing everything. We know he can run up front. It's just finishing the deal, and that's one thing he struggled with. And the last couple of years, like you could get by with it, like with winning you're in, and then lesser field counts, and then who knows what else happens. But that's been one thing for him. I also think Robert Hassan has been a multi NEXXTCAR winner. We haven't even really mentioned him all year. He's been running anywhere from 8th to 15th the whole time.
Hassan's one of those guys.
He's one that could win.
He's one of those guys like Peyton, just cannot find the luck in trucks, man. The dude seems to be in almost, and 98% of it is none of his own doing. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, Right. And
like last week, he got ran over multiple times. And it wasn't even his fault.
Yeah, that's something that needs to stop too. But I mean, the ARCA braking has got to go. But that's a conversation for a different time. But
it's just guys not paying attention. I mean, you got Free Willy out there just running around and then spinning off turn 2 and then whatever. So,
but no, I'm with you, Peyton, man. Robert has surprised the heck out of me this season. We took a chance, brought him back into the league this season after he was banned for a couple seasons, and the man obviously has cleaned it up. Much better driver and a much better person to have in the league as well now. Before it was something didn't go his way, he would just melt down and that was it. He would leave the race. Now he's out there fighting to get back, fighting to rebound. And it's great to see.
The moment I realized when he matured is when he was in third gear at Richmond and on the outside lane and then did not throw a fit.
Nope.
He's like, oh, my bad. And then, that's when I know that he's matured.
In seasons prior, he would have been F this, F that, just having a meltdown, freaking out, or yelling at the guy behind him whose fault it wasn't even, You know what I'm saying, though, But, the mistakes like that he's made, but he's owned up to it. And like you said, that was where it actually showed, like, all right, the man's matured a lot. And it's great to see, like I said, it's great to have him back out there on the track, and it's great to have someone like that back in next. But yeah, on the opposite side of the league, Cup has been a little more calmer than the Truck Series. Don't have the sparks and the feuds. Well, we do, but not to the extreme that the Truck has had this season.
The only feuds that have been in the Cup has been towards the guy that makes the session. Let's be honest.
You're not
That's
wrong
true.
because you did us dirty at Phoenix. But we'll talk. We'll get into that more when we dig deeper into this last weekend. We just wanted to get a quick recap of the first 5 races. But
yeah,
this season so far has been the Daniel Smith and Peyton Tullock show, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I've not really kept up with the Cup Series this season.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You just make the sessions 130 degrees and then, I'm going to be at the bowling alley, boys. Have fun.
Yeah. Oh, well. I mean, I'll just say this. 1 out of the first 6 races, people complaining, who cares? So, I mean, there had to be a day race in there. They don't race at night in the Cup. Made that, and then you'll get your night races. Boo-hoo, freaking who. So, you know what? It'll be okay.
But, Peyton, you and Smith, man, y'all are in an absolute battle right now.
Yeah. See, Cup, like, on one hand, like, it's awesome. Like, I love all the success I have in Cup. Like, I think I've kind of made a good... I mean, I have some pretty good stats. I mean, 3-time champion, 14 wins. Not bad. Like, I'm really enjoying it. But I think what makes it frustrating is the fact I can go out here and be so competitive in Cup, but the night before, it's a complete different story. It is so frustrating that, like, I have so much speed on Mondays, but Sundays, it's just... I mean, I have speed, just can't put it together, but... it's been nice, the evening after to get in the Cup car and then have good runs. And, me and David have had, like you said, a heck of a season. I mean, us winning, we've won every race for Daytona between the two of us. So,
Yep.
it's been a little bit of a show between us two. We've had some great battles, but I don't think that says the whole story, though. I will say that. There is a lot of speed right behind us, and we're in a system where, yet again, we're going to go to the playoffs, reset. Yeah, we're going to get playoff points and stuff, but the whole system's going to change, and we have a race at the very end to decide the champion. So, while, yes, me and David are having great seasons so far, there is a long way to go. And at the end of the day, these don't really matter right now. Like, yeah, we've probably kind of closely put ourselves in the playoffs already, as long as we just kind of show up and do our thing the rest of the season. But there's a lot of good guys on here that have a lot of speed that are right there behind us. So, definitely not over yet.
Yeah, and you mentioned about, not having the luck on Sunday, but come Monday, it's there. You're not the only one, man, because if you look in 4th and 5th in the standings, you got Trudeau and you got Alberto.
We're all hanging out with each other. We're all like...
It's
we're all right out of the playoffs.
Hassan's in 8th in points.
Yeah, it's like I said in the broadcast, man. Peyton Tullock cannot find any luck. He has no luck in trucks. But on Cup, you guys are absolutely killing it. And David Duran, let's not skip over the rookie in 3rd. That man is having one heck of a season. Just a couple points behind Smith. I'm not sure how many. 6 points. He's 6 points behind Smith. And again, just like trucks, that's without any wins. Just like Noah Jackson's doing on the opposite side. Durand is having an immense amount of speed.
And very, very, very could have easily won Charlotte. If I don't, get the strategy just right and then have to get by him, which he did not make that easy. I mean, I passed him, I think, on the last lap or the lap right before. Like, that was a heck of a battle with him. It goes a little bit different. I get held up with the car or anything. He wins Charlotte. So he's had a lot of speed. He's one of those guys I would definitely circle right now as a favorite, even though he has that 0. Just like Jackson, he reminds me just like him. He's bound to win here soon because he keeps running up there too much. I mean, he has 4 top 5s in 6 races. Like that, you do that, you're going to win eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone else that we can talk about in the same boat as you and Trudeau and Abar is Nicholas Don Francisco, man. The dude is nowhere to be found in the Truck Series standings. But here he is currently sitting in the 9th position in the Cup Series. And Nicholas is having a great season as well, which is, this is a great season for him. He's obviously a previous NEXXTCAR winner, so he knows how to get it done. But, a lot of other rookies are out there with him. You got, like we said, Durand in 3rd. Then we've got Brock Bigelow, a guy that's in our chat every Monday, Peyton. It's been great to see the advancements that Brock has made from week to week. When it started out at Daytona, it was, hey, what are you guys doing here? Should I do this? Should I do that? Now it's, hey, this is what I'm doing, and it's working for him. It's great to see the improvement from week to week. He went from, hey, what strategy you guys doing, to I'm doing my own strategy, and clearly it's getting him inside the top 10.
Yeah, it's been awesome hanging out with him in the chat just to kind of watch that. Like, he's truly just kind of like, he dove in understanding there's going to be that learning curve. He's going to have to get used to racing. And you can tell he's starting to feel comfortable in the car. He's starting to improve. And I mean, right now, he's sitting 10th. I mean, he's got 4 top 10s. Like, he has found ways, and which shows, like, we show up to race week. He might not have all the speed he wants, but continues to improve during the race, and at the very end, he's getting his top 10s. Those are kind of performances that will get you in the playoffs, and if you keep developing like that all season and make the playoffs like that, you will be in the conversation in the playoff, like once the playoffs come. So I hope he continues doing what he's doing. I'm sure, yeah, I mean, I can tell he's a competitor. He wants to get in the top 5 and start competing a bit more, but, one step at a time, he is definitely on pace to have a pretty dang good year.
Absolutely. This is a great rookie season for him, especially with the numbers we had, because this is no different than what Trucks is doing. I mean, we've had 39 Cup Series drivers put laps down this season. So both series doing a phenomenal job in the numbers. We're averaging over 30 drivers in the Trucks. We're averaging over 25 in the Cup. Fantastic to see. And, to not only make the playoffs is a huge feat, but to be inside the top 10 in your rookie season with the veterans of NEXXTCAR caliber, you're doing something right,
Over 25 guys have made at least half the races in Cup. So those are crazy numbers, Ronnie. We've never seen anything like that. So, and for you to be 10th in that kind of field, very good. Just like Truck, I mean, this cutoff line is ridiculous. Like, Cat, yes, he's missed a couple of races, so he's found himself first guy out right now, but we know he has a lot of speed, former champion. I mean, Duncan's right here. Sean, speaking of Sean Walton, I think he's, another guy we really got to watch in both series, because right now he's below the cutoff in both. It's been an interesting kind of last few months for him in NEXXTCAR. He really, really wants to win. He really wants to make the playoffs. He's got a lot to prove. He's kind of, one of those guys. So I really am interested to see how he handles the rest of the season now that he's getting into more of a dire situation in both series. And then, of course, we got Ronnie down here. It's not been a season for Ronnie to talk about.
This
but
has been a season to forget.
Well, that's because Ronnie gets flat tires and quits. He's like starting.
All right, I didn't quit. All right, there's a difference in getting disqualified and quitting. I got told to quit.
No, you did it yourself. I told you had a black flag.
Well, I know that, but
then why didn't you pit?
Well, you see what happened is I went 3 laps. I thought, oh, they're not going to DQ me. I can pit real quick. I'll take the EO well because that was the end of the stage. And as soon as I hit pit lane, iRacing said adios. But no, it's been an absolute season to forget. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
and you run good at Indy too. So I mean, it's not like
but I'm not going to be there at Indy. Yeah, but I'm not going to be there for Indy.
Well, you suck.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
I'm watching the national championship, buddy. I'm watching the Natty.
Oh, that's fair.
By the way, before we forget to mention them, I do want to give a quick shout out to, ironically, Race Control, David Smith. He did win his first NEXXTCAR race this season at Daytona and Cup, and then hasn't made a start since. So shout out to David, having that 100% win ratio this season. You're doing great, buddy. Good job.
All right, well, let's dig deeper into the things that went down this last week at Phoenix. Starting with the Truck Series, had a demolition derby versus
eventful.
A race.
Just say eventful race.
Yeah, it was eventful. I mean, I think the race started.
Might as well just got a little the little Tykes cars and roll around there and like eat like little clown cars.
For a minute there, I thought we were on Wreckfest instead of iRacing. You know,
that was the first stage. Second stage picked up okay. First stage, it was just like, all right, you're out.
Yeah, it got kicked off on a very bad foot there.
Yeah, and the podcast that doesn't exist, sadly. We I talked about how after Dover that Nick and Colin incident in Dover, like I felt like that could be the start of some really aggressive driving going through the rest of the season, especially because we had got to the halfway point. Phoenix, yep, yeah, I hit it on the head because Phoenix was dead on that. It was very much so a lot of aggressive driving, a lot of over driving, especially from guys that are really talented. Like, I mean, not to call him out because it affected me, but like, Plant has had a heck of a season, but he just made a simple, like, really easy mistake that you never see him make that took out a lot of guys. So, I mean, and that's not just him. There was plenty of guys that did the exact same thing. A lot of just simple mistakes that were over driving. Why? Because we're past halfway and guys are begging for points right now. So, I mean, you saw it happen at Phoenix, and like I said, going forward, I think I don't think it'll be as bad because the way Phoenix drives, it's easy to make mistakes there. But I do expect some aggressive driving these last 4 weeks.
Yeah, and something I want to talk about is a name that you mentioned from Dover, and that's Nick Trudeau. I know that these guys made up already after the race at Phoenix, but we're in the podcast industry, so we got to bring up the drama, and that was Tyler Isley and Nick Trudeau. Back-to-back weeks, Trudeau has found himself being spun off the front bumper of somebody else, and that was an interesting array of things that went down those couple of laps because you had three trucks mixed in it: Sean Walton, Nick Trudeau, Tyler Isley, and Nick got the short end of the stick on it, but all three drivers were roughing each other up. Coming out of turn 2 on that lap, you had Sean Walton absolutely clear himself on Trudeau, completely cut the nose off of that 89. And then Trudeau had to dive down low to save it. And then, we saw what happened between himself and Isley just gave him a shot. And the rest was history after Nick cut the nose off of Isley. It was three guilty people. No one was innocent in any of that went down.
No, being behind it too, and then me getting ARCA braked also was not very fun. But that's just one of like 20,000 things that happened at Phoenix. I'll just gonna keep my comments to myself on some of the situations because that's what we do. But there's a lot of frustrated people. And it shouldn't carry over, at least, just because it's been done and over with. So,
what are you talking about?
I think you know what, things happen for reasons, and just saying that things happen. Me and you have had our run-ins. Me and Peyton have had our run-ins. So I mean, it just stuff happens.
God, it's like when they interviewed Kevin Harvick after the Kyle Busch incident.
Tell your side of the story, Kevin.
Obviously we were just racing hard and doing what we had to do there at the end, and things happen.
Things happen, that's it?
That's it. What do you do? Good racing, I guess.
What you guys talk about?
What got discussed in the truck?
Not much.
Oh, come on, Kevin. What got talked about?
Anything really to tell you other than not much.
Is it settled between the two of you?
You saw the end.
Kevin.
No.
Is it over?
I
don't know.
Yeah. I mean, people just do stuff.
It was a rough week for some guys. Like Nick Trudeau, like Ryan was talking about. Like, this is a weekend of Phoenix he's going to want to forget for both series. It was a very frustrating weekend for him from both truck and cup. So, and he's not the only guy on that list. So it'll be interesting to watch some of these guys bounce back. It'll be interesting to watch some of this drama hopefully calm down. But we'll see who can be the bigger man situations, and if guys will just let the driving do the talking, or talk off the track or something.
I won't like sugarcoat or anything, but like things like this that happens are why people don't want to race with like in certain stuff. So we've had a clean year up until last week, and then we had some good runs last week. There was a long green flag run once we got things straightened out. So yeah, I mean it set up for an exciting finish too. Let's not forget, like we had you were calling Plant the winner off of 4. Next thing you know, loop-de-doo, hallelujah, Braden Avila gets the win.
Daniel Smith is going to hold off the field. The 20 throws it in. They're not going to get it. It's going to, 31 loses it out of 4. Avila won at Charlotte. He now wins at Phoenix.
So, yeah, I mean, just a lot of crazy things happened last week.
Yeah, absolutely. That was it was an interesting last 300 feet of that race. I was literally in the middle of saying it. Oh, here comes Avila. He throws it in there, not going to get to him. Smith's going to lead him off. Oh my God, he spun it. Like it's just like,
dude, I freaking saw Mario throw a freaking banana on the track, and that's what freaking Plant ran over. So.
It was a wild range of emotions there in that last corner, but he got back to the gas before the truck was ready, and around it went.
Phil, I didn't even think about it. I do feel really bad for Plant. This guy got murdered by netcode at the end of the stage, so he lost all transition, lost all his points, and then at the end of the race, more so on him, just lost it when he had the race secured. That's a double heartbreak weekend for Plant and truck. So yeah, sorry, Plant. I should have gave you like a hug or something after that one. That's a hard pill to swallow when you're that quick and have it go badly twice in one race.
That reminds me of the SpongeBob episode when him and Plankton are like have the ice cream, and he goes, "Great, let him have it." And he goes, "You can have it." I mean, but when it comes down to points too, like that's 5 points for Plant that he just lost that he could have got. So if you think about it, if it comes down to we're talking about points again, that could be big for the playoff points. In the next few weeks. So crazy things have happened this year, and I think Ronnie's had a great call with everything, and then Lamphier's also been a great addition too for the booth. Yeah. So you guys have let's just say there's been action everywhere throughout the field for the truck side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's not forget about the guys behind the scenes, in both series, David Smith doing the race control, me and Lamphere doing the booth broadcast for the trucks. It's all three of us have been extremely busy this season. Let's just say that we've had a lot to talk about in the booth, and you guys have kept David on his toes.
Yeah, it's the three guys that help this thing go round and round. So shout out to all three of you guys. You're doing a fantastic job. I've absolutely loved having Landfear in the booth. I think he's done an excellent job. So big shout out to Landfear. D's still doing his thing. This ain't his first rodeo. And of course, same goes to you, Ronnie. So it's been an awesome season all around, from battles on track to the calls you've made in these races. It's been great. And hopefully the viewers have enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And some guys have found themselves in a hole by their own doing. Some have found themselves in a hole by other people's doing. And that's just the nature of racing. And speaking of one of those guys, that's Nick Trudeau. So let's hear let's hear a word from our premier sponsor, True Designs. Tired of scrolling for what seems like an eternity looking for that perfect paint scheme to race? Tired of finding the right scheme just to see other people running the same scheme as yours in your race? Then look no further than True Designs. True Designs is an all-new up-and-coming custom scheme designer that is dedicated to delivering you the perfect custom scheme of your dreams without breaking the bank. True Designs is dedicated to bringing your dream paint scheme to life and to victory lane. Starting this season, True Designs has signed a new sponsorship with the NEXXTCAR Racing League. Join the True Designs community for just $30 a scheme, or 3 for $60. True Designs, redefining design one masterpiece at a time. All right, folks, welcome back here to the NEXXTCAR podcast. And next up, Peyton, we've got to talk about the slippery Phoenix Cup race, because that was an interesting track that we raced on, man. You couldn't hit the gas in the corner. You could barely hit the brake. It was wild, man. We might as well have been on the slip and slide.
Yeah, I love Phoenix. I have wins there. I had another one that's great and all, fantastic. But man, while I do love Phoenix, Tuck made that track as difficult as possible on a Monday night. I mean,
It was so
You had
uneventful too.
it felt like you were having to literally baby the car, like hold it like it's an infant and just crawl through the corners as gently as possible. Because if you made one wrong move, you were going into the inside wall or overcorrecting and going the outside wall. So very, very scary track. The only track I can think worse that Tux put us on was
Iowa.
probably Iowa that one season. That's
yes.
the only slicker I've ever been. But yeah, it was a handful. But all that said, even after a night with truck, like the night before Truck Series had all those cautions, as always, the Cup guys showed up, adjusted to the track, and had an overall extremely clean race. And I was really impressed by everybody who made it start that race.
Just looking at some of the finishes too. I mean, David Duran, you guys have talked about him in the Cup. Another top 3 finish. Another guy on the Cup side's had a great year. Is your broadcast partner there, Ronnie and Michael Lamphere. I feel like he's had one of his most consistent Cup series. Just looking at the stats, and he backed it up at Phoenix. I don't know how he ran, and we'd have to ask him on Sunday, but. He ended up with a 6th place finish. So, I mean, obviously he had speed. He was able to get a top 10 out of it too. So the Cup guys, like Peyton said, it always has been clean, nonchalant, and just good overall green flag run racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you mentioned, Payne, huge shout out to the Cup guys from going from 15 cautions in the truck race down to 4 in the Cup race. And I'm obviously a little biased in this, but a much harder track to drive. But something else we saw a lot of in the truck race and not so much in the Cup race was cutting the dog leg. You know, you couldn't trust it. With that hot track, you could not trust it. You couldn't trust the tires. But unfortunately, one of the guys that was cutting the dog leg was Nick Trudeau. And, well, it didn't turn out too well for him there.
Yeah. What will go down as a controversial call? Was it the right call?
Tuck?
Was it not? What are you laughing about, Tuck?
I'm just laughing because Ronnie likes to start shit just to do it. He is the number one instigator in every freaking thing.
Well,
absolutely. I'm in the business of podcasts. What do you want from me? That's what podcasts does, man. Podcasts thrive on drama. And we've had it this season, so why not take advantage of it?
I'll just say this, though. The penalties came out on Monday night, and they weren't there on Sunday. So that's what happened there. And just like in regular NASCAR, you get some days you get calls, some days you don't. And it's not robot. Other than having iRacing cautions, like having a race control with D, and D's done a great job for us. But yeah, things happen, and just like regular NASCAR, I mean, penalties happen for guys that shouldn't deserve them. They get them. I mean, one that sticks out to me is when Carl Edwards in the Budweiser shootout that one year where he went low to avoid an accident and passed a guy below the yellow. And yeah, then he gets black flag. So
after losing positions.
After losing positions, yes. So not everything is going to be 100% the correct call every time. So, and just being consistent. And this is the only time the whole season where something has been questions, I guess, with calls. Other than what happened with Dover the 1 week where that one guy was the race control. We're not going to ask that again, but yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, D's done a great job, and I understand why Nick was mad looking back at the video too.
Absolutely. I get both sides of it, you know?
Yeah.
I get D's side and I get Nick's side. Obviously, Nick's going to be upset because you always get upset when you feel like you've been wronged, you know? So I get both sides of it.
Yeah, I do too, to defend Nick, because I know he'll want somebody at least defend him a little bit.
Screw Nick.
I had the same understanding of the rule, so I could have seen myself very easily doing the same thing Nick did, because that was my understanding. And also, he just kind of got screwed for the fact of no one was really brave enough to go down on that apron, like we kind of talked about, except Nick. So he kind of got a penalty just for being brave. So, because if he wasn't brave, he wouldn't have turned down so quickly. Because it was so sketchy in the Cup car. It was already sketchy enough in the truck. Like, Alberto was cutting the apron a little bit, and eventually I got brave enough to try to follow him. but even that little bit was still kind of sketchy. Anything farther than that, small apron you can jump down. If you went all the way down the dog leg, oh heck no, I don't think I'd have made it one time down there. It was no. So, I mean, I guess shout out to Nick for being brave and trying it, but it's just one of those things. Like, there's always gonna be controversy. You're not gonna agree with every call. We've all had calls not go the way we think they should go, and sadly, Nick's weekend, continued having bad luck in it, and that's how it ended up going. So I think Nick can hold his hat, though. He had a lot of speed this weekend. It just didn't go right. I mean, it happens. And he's been really good, like, historically at Indy. So I'll go ahead and say it. I think Nick will bounce back and probably win a race this weekend, especially being fired up after this week and how it went. So I'm very excited to see how he rebounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw how it went after Dover and the dump and run, and he rebounded in the trucks, and now he's back inside the cutoff line for the playoffs. So Nick is one of those guys that takes adversity and runs with it and overcomes it. Yeah, it's like you said, it happens to everybody, and well, unfortunately, this weekend it was Nick's turn in both series, and back-to-back in trucks. It is what it is, and I don't know why you're laughing.
Nothing. It's just funny how you always pick on Nick.
This season, this upcoming week at Indy, we've talked about it a couple times. Let's forecast it here for the trucks and cup. It's the third crown jewel race of the season. We mentioned it. Nick, one of the best at Indy. He got it done in a huge battle with Jonathan Duncan a couple of seasons ago. They had their big battle there, and he was able to prevail. So, yeah, I look forward to this week being a turnaround for that 89. But, yeah, third crown jewel race of the season. A lot of points on the line, and we are getting close to those playoffs.
Just to prepare everybody, both races are day races. So just let everybody know that. Indy doesn't have lights, so it has to be a day race. Ronnie's tried night races at tracks without lights, and it hasn't worked.
It worked perfectly fine. What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay.
If you guys had
completely lost the track.
If you guys had 38 less cautions that race, we'd have been done in plenty of time.
If you would have made the race an hour before sunset, we would have been fine too.
Yep. Then we also had that race that started under the sun, then went to night, then started back under the sun.
That's not your fault. That was the very first race ever on iRacing, and you set to like times 4 for the advanced time. So let's not get carried away. Gosh, I mean, we had dinner, late night Taco Bell, breakfast, and lunch.
Yeah, went from coffee to beer, back to coffee. We've come a long way.
And then Matt Erickson wins the very first race over in NEXXTCAR.
And
that's been crazy to think that's been like literally 2 years ago. And
it's
how
wild,
long we've been on this. Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, we were on PlayStation for 4 years.
Yeah.
Then now on iRacing for God. That's wild to think about.
Same NEXXTCAR, same drama. I mean, nothing's changed on that.
Not really. Same league, same drama, just different drivers on a different platform.
Me and Peyton at Watkins Glen comes to mind. Sorry, Peyton.
Yeah, that, and then you and Keystone when he got upset because you beat him.
Oh yeah, Peyton. Gets mad.
I'll never forget it.
We need to do like a recap of like NEXXTCAR races, like watch like one of your like old broadcasts.
Dude, I thought about that. How NASCAR's doing like the round table. NASCAR's doing.
Yeah,
I've thought about doing that. I really have, and then doing like a podcast,
and then bring in the people, then bring in the parties to watch it.
Yes,
that'd be hilarious, dude.
Yes, I thought about doing that, and then doing like a podcast recording of it and stuff. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a great time.
Just imagine me and Peyton at Charlotte, like just rewatching that. That'd be hilarious too. Or I forget what else has happened.
Home drain.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just trying to think of other things that have happened with other drivers in past seasons. I like bring in freaking Don Francesca and Alberto from like those 3 weeks and just like talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. They would be the first two to be brought in.
Yeah. That would be insane.
You talked about earlier, Tuck, about leaving the past in the past and moving on, but those two,
Some people haven't.
I think they have. I think Don Francisco and A-Bar.
Oh yeah, I think they have.
I mean, I think they have put it. I think they quote unquote put it behind them, but they still remember it. So they still kind of like deep down don't like each other, and you can see it on the track.
No, there's no friendship in that. Not at all.
I mean, another one's been Sean and Robert. I mean, they didn't wreck each other this season.
No,
at Chicagoland.
But then you've got these other weird rivalries that are kind of picking up. You know, you got Bollinger and Trudeau. Then you have Lanfear and his rivalry at Dover, Kelleher.
And then Tuck and Cody Ware.
Well, no, I was going to go into Steve Bocock and Paul Ferdiani at Phoenix. And the radio transmissions there, you know. Obviously, this is a rated R. This is an R-rated podcast, and we can't show that. That just goes to show you how bad it was. That's like a double R.
The all-time funniest ever comment ever in the history. But I will just say this: if you ever make Paul Ferdiani mad, like that's one you not want to make mad.
No, and Steve's not one that you want to make mad either. Steve doesn't care what he says. Steve has no filter, and Steve is Steve. You know, but hey, it's made for a great season. It's made for a great season. It really has. But all right, well, that is going to do it for this edition of the NEXXTCAR Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And this upcoming week on Sunday, the Truck Series heads to Indy for the third crown jewel race of the season for 100 laps. And then it's followed up on Monday night with the Next Gen Cup cars for 110. It's going to be a good one. Lots of points on the line, and we are getting closer to that cutoff playoff line. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys this weekend. Have a great rest of your night, and God bless.